Hello and welcome to the StartupBREW Fargo podcast. StartupBREW is a weekly event hosted by Emerging Prairie in downtown Fargo, where we believe that entrepreneurship is energized over brews. Each week, we bring entrepreneurs, founders, and innovators together because we believe they succeed when they have access to each other and the community that supports them. Today, we heard from Amanda Pieters with the Avocado Doula and Kelsey Rascco with Dash in White. We're going to kick today off with Amanda, who in May of 2020 began her work as a doula to fulfill a longtime dream. Amanda completed her DONA International Doula training and this summer became the first evidence-based birth instructor in the state of North Dakota, and she is a self-proclaimed birth nerd. Let's listen in to learn more from Amanda.
Self-proclaimed and proud birth nerd, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'm so thrilled to be here. My name is Amanda Pieters, and I'm the founder of Avocado Doula. So my journey into business started about 9 years ago when I was enjoying a very moderate amount of wine with one of my best friends, and I confided in her that I had a dream of becoming a doula. And I confided it in her because I don't think a lot of people know what that is. And a lot of people are not comfortable around birth or discussions of such. And so she was like, "That's awesome. You should be my doula when I have a baby." And I was like, "I will totally be your doula when you have a baby." And then 9 years later, I get a phone call in January of 2020. And she said, "I've been thinking about doula training, and I think we should book it in May." And I was like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "'Cause I'm pregnant." So, and of course, needless to say, I was like weeping with joy for her and weeping for joy for me. And it was just a really exciting time. So in May of 2020, I completed my DONA International Doula training. And at that time, there was a lot going on in the world that was taking place in Minneapolis. There was a lot happening there at that time. And then my friend was due in September. And so with COVID-19, there was a lot of uncertainty of even if her partner would be allowed in the birthing space with her in the hospital, because there was all sorts of challenges around who was admitted, who was allowed, et cetera. Luckily, I was able to attend, as was her partner, and we had a very positive experience. But I need to be honest with you. Preparing for that, I was like, I had got my book knowledge, I've got my training experience, I'm feeling really confident about how I can support her, but I am not confident about how I will respond in the hospital, in the setting where the bodily fluids are flowing and things happen. I just didn't know. But the minute that she started her labor process, something clicked for me. None of it touched me. Nothing bothered me. In fact, I actually had the really big honor of catching her baby when she was born. This was planned. It was not spontaneous. Although I'm sure some doulas have had to do that out of necessity, this was a planned opportunity. And after, baby was on mom and I could step away for a minute, I texted my partner and I said, "I feel like I just stepped into my own skin. I have to keep doing this work. I feel called to this work. I want to be able to help women. I want to help birthing people. I want to help families in this very unique and vulnerable time in their life where parenthood just starts. And a lot of times, I believe that baby gets so much attention and care, as they should. But I believe that mom and women and birthing people deserve just as much care and attention during labor and birth and after. So postpartum support is something I'm really passionate about because you get sent home with that baby and you're like, what's happening? What's happening? This creature keeps crying. I'm leaking things. What's going on? So some of you are like, yes, that is accurate. So that brings me to today. And how I got here. So you heard a little bit about that, and I'm just so excited. Knowing that I was like, I have to continue this work, I needed to immediately just start something. So I started a social media account on Instagram. And then I slowly started to build my website, which was recently launched. Still a work in progress, but we're getting there, right? And then this summer, I completed a 6-week course to become an evidence-based birth instructor, the first in the state of North Dakota. And this is an organization that's internationally known. So EBB is an incredible resource for our community, and part of my plan moving forward is to start to offer some workshops later this winter for families who are either in the planning processes of their planning or their birth experiences, or who are currently pregnant and are looking to kind of fill the gap between what they're hoping for and what are some options that they need to know. So more to come for that. You know, the heart of Avocado Doula is all about my mission, which is educate, empower, and support. I'm incredibly passionate about education. That's what my background is in. Both, I was an English education major. I have my master's degree in educational leadership. I've been working in higher education for 10 years. And this sort of side passion just bloomed. And so I really believe that education and knowledge is power. So for folks who are looking and preparing, having all of that information available is a really, really critical thing. I want women and birthing people to feel empowered in their choices. I want them to feel prepared and empowered for this thing that's about to happen with them and within them, and not scared, right? It's a big change. It's a big deal. And I want them to feel like they have what they need to feel empowered to step into that and embrace it. And lastly, that support piece. People need support in those major transitions in life, whether it's a baby or a move across the country or a loss in a family, right? And so being able to target that support provides some nutrition, some nutrition and some food. Avocado Doula, I like because of the image of the avocado, and also avocados have really good fats for hormone regulation. So a little bit of nerd information for you there. So it's been my pleasure to speak with you today and to tell you a little bit about my journey into business. It is very much in progress. It is the beginning stages, and I'm thrilled to be able to bring this information and this service to the Fargo-Moorhead area. Thanks so much.
Next up, we heard from Kelsey Rascco, owner and operator of Dash & White, a mid-century modern furniture store. She's passionate about helping people create a space they love and enjoys sharing what she does with others. Let's listen in to learn more from Kelsey.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Kelsey Rascco here from Dash & White. And I told some of my friends that I was going to be on the StartupBREW, and then I showed them the post, and then they said, that doesn't look like you. And I was like, well, the thing is I never responded, and they took my LinkedIn picture from like 2006. And I'm a little bit more slim and not jaded by babies. All you were talking about, I'm just like, yes. Do you do that for businesses? Because I feel like I cry like once a week, have a breakdown every other. But anyway, I own Dash & White. It's on the corner of 32nd and 45th Avenue. It's the busiest corner in North Dakota, and you bet your ass that I sold my firstborn to pay for my month's rent. But anyway, I started Dash & White because I actually was renovating my home, and I couldn't find those like really cool, funky pieces to fill my home with. So I piecemealed everything around, had to be on hold, had to talk to customer service representatives, and then I said, I'm done with this. I'm finally gonna open up my store. So I made the dumbest decision to do so. And I made a brilliant decision to do it right before COVID. But you guys, it was actually really beautiful. The whole thing was beautiful because every hardship made me way stronger. Every fault line that I had to cross made me more resilient. And when I heard those words prior to opening, I about rolled my eyes. Like, you need to be resilient in business. You need to have a strategy, right? You need to have your analytics and get your demographic ready. And I just kept rolling my eyes like, I got this, it's fine. Well, no, you do need to be resilient. You do need to get up every day. And I always promote at Dash & White, and I'm also the founder of Powerful Woman as well, is even if you take a step forward, it's forward motion. It's forward progress. Never lose your grit with your business. So anyhow, being on the corner of 32nd and 45th Avenue, Dash & White, mid-century modern furniture, I'd like to appeal to a wide range of people. My furniture is a little bit upper scale, but I have something for everyone, whether it's a champagne saber, and it's how you classically open up champagne, drinking glasses, maybe it's some journals and a throw. But the most important thing at Dash & White is I want you guys to get wild about what you love again. I want to rewrite the script on materialistic. Because frankly, if you're buying something and putting it into your home, you should love it. You should get wild about it. I want you to find a coffee mug, and when you do that thing where you're like looking in the dishwasher and the sink, and then oh, there it is, and you grab it, that feeling you should have with everything. You should have with everything in your home. Your favorite throw blanket. My babies, I have 4, but my babies are 3 and 1.5, and if one of those have my throw blanket, you bet you know what, that I'm grabbing it. Because I love my throw blanket. I'm not as selfish as I come off, but anyway, I just want to make sure you fall in love with every little item. And I want to make sure that you don't fill your home with shit. And it's not price. I asked Joe, I'm like, Joe, can I swear? It's not price. It's not price. I don't care. He did say no. And I was like, okay. Whether it's $5 or $5,000, I don't care. I want you to fall in love, and I will get just as wild with you as I check you out. There's also a really beautiful atmosphere at Dash and White, and it's important for me to have created it. This isn't just sales. This is my home. My family is here. My husband, all of a sudden, people started calling him Daddy Dash. He loves it. And anyway, we call it a crier. I have a crier in my store maybe about once to twice a week. And I sit with that person for 45 minutes if I need to. Whether they're closing on their house and it's been delayed 2 months and they're not gonna be able to have their family for the holidays, or maybe their dog just died and they came in to grab something to make them feel better, or maybe they're stopping in because they're actually at Sanford and they're waiting on their family member. We all have so many things going on in our life, and it's so important to hear each other. I feel like we've forgotten to be kind. And so with Dash and White, I'm gonna give you the extra piece of tissue because you deserve it. And I'm gonna give you the ribbon on your bag because you deserve it. And I'm gonna take the extra minutes to check you out because you deserve it, unless you don't want that and you're in a hurry, because I'm totally fine as well. But anyway, Kelsey Rascco, Dash and White, mid-century modern furniture, and a lot of spunk and sass. I would love to meet all of you at some point.
After the presentation, we jumped into a live Q&A session with the audience, joined by me, our host, Jessica Anderson from the Emerging Prairie team. Let's listen in. So we're going to kick off with one question. I want to ask you guys, what is one thing that you are celebrating in the last year?
Joe also told me not to get emotional. I'm so proud that I haven't checked myself into a mental facility. I'm doing great, and I'm being resilient. He's like, oh gosh. I'm being resilient, and once again, that's something that you just have to be if you're choosing to be an entrepreneur. It is hard work. It is every day, almost every moment. My goal for 2022 is to create more boundaries and get my life back a little bit, but right now we dig, and that's why I text you. That's why you have to create these goals and create these boundaries, but I'm happy that I'm still stepping forward.
I set a goal to attend 3 births when I began this work, so it's a little further than a year. But I have a client due in early December, so I'm thrilled working with her to prepare and talk through kind of those last 3rd trimester woes. So I'm just really proud and excited that I've been able to attend 2 births and 1 pending, when it's just been such a brand new thing and I had no experience or idea of how to recruit clients of any kind. So it feels like a big win, and hopefully it's just the beginning.
Amazing. I love that. Leslie.
Amanda, how long do you stay with families after the birth, or does it depend on the particular situation?
Great question. So for my services, I kind of provide a variety of packages. So for a typical birth doula experience, I follow up with the families. Like, I'll stay postpartum for a few hours to ensure that if mom is planning to breastfeed, that she has some extra support. There's great nurses and lactation folks, but they're also tending to a bunch of other people, so I have some basic skills there, making sure the family has what they need. If they need phone calls or food or something, I'll run and do that. And then I'll step away, take a break, get some sleep, and then I usually follow up once they're home. I try to make a stop in the hospital as well, just to follow up the next day, and then at least 1 to 2 postpartum follow-ups. If families are looking for extended postpartum services, whether it's just for mom and focus on mom, or if they're looking for some care for baby a little bit so that mom has a chance to take a break, can shower while someone holds the tiny creature that requires body heat and comfort. I also can expand services that way. I try to bring families at least one, if not two, home-cooked meals that are balanced and are easy to grab. I try to make snack packs for moms who are pumping or nursing so that they can just literally plop it wherever their chairs are, because you need food, people. Way more calories than you think, and you're not going to want to make food. So that's a really long answer, but it's a both and. So there's some extension opportunities as well as at least the initial follow-up.
Any audience questions? Right back there.
Kelsey, I've been in your old store and your new store, and it's just like a warm hug. I love that store.
Thank you.
It's just a funky, fun place. So thank you for taking the plunge.
That means a lot. Thank you.
So I have a question. You guys both have a lot going on. You guys are busy women. What's the key to balance? I mean, is there balance? What have you discovered about balance in the last year or so?
I like to think of it as a blend, like a merging. Honestly, the things that you love will always come to surface. And so for me, it's easy. It's not. I mean, there's still times that you have to sacrifice time, make time, skip your little Netflix binge to just get online and start doing some work. But I think it's easy enough to continue that, knowing that it's like, it really fills your cup and it really suits you. So I think of it like a blend.
I was going to say the same exact thing. If you love what you do, it's just going to radiate out of you like beams of glitter light, and it's not going to seem like work. Is there a balance? For me, there's not. I took on kind of two businesses tandemly, and I have really big goals for both. But I am learning that for 2022 because I do have a family that misses me dearly, which is why if you come into my store and you see them, pray for me because they're in my store, but also they're in my store because, we get to see each other a lot that way. But yeah, if you are doing what you love, it will never seem like work. And if you're not sure what you love, if you ask yourself like, oh shoot, I don't know what it is, it will find you. And it will be so great.
Right back here.
Where do you guys pull your kindness from?
What was that?
Where do you pull your kindness from?
He asked, where do you pull your kindness from? We have two very kind women here.
For me, I'll cry if the wind blows in my direction, and I call myself a snowflake. My husband actually did. Daddy Dash calls me a snowflake because I am just so sensitive, Kate. I'm so sensitive. That being said, the climate in this world is so not sensitive, and it's very harsh sometimes, and it's kind of ugly, and that has me launching way over the kindness mountain because I want to bring it back. I want to talk to you for 10 extra minutes. I want to see why you seem upset or see why you're happy or what you're doing, because the biggest power that I feel that I might have is listening. That's sometimes just what people want you to do, is just hear them. And so I pull my kindness from all the ugly, I guess.
This is pulling in a bit of my education background, but I was a first-generation college student, and so when I started college, I had a backup plan to become a cosmetologist, because I also was very interested in that, but I just honestly didn't know if college would be a setting and a space for me. And it was tiny moments of mentorship and these little open doorways to expose some of that like hidden stuff that people just don't know about. And that kindness was offered to me, and this is my opportunity, hopefully, to repay that kindness in a different way. And along the way, I mean, I've been able to do some of that in my education work as well, but along the way, being able to step into my passion and interest in birth work, being able to really like embrace it and not feel skeptical about it or like it's a secret anymore, and really recognizing a need in the community. I want to help people, and I want to help them in moments where it's easy to overlook it, because I felt overlooked at times. And so it's just a little bit drawing on some of those moments of vulnerability in my own life and hoping that I can ease that for some other folks as they're transitioning into a major part of their life and a shift in life.
Right here.
So I have more of like a business-sided question. Since you both seem to have fallen into your passions, how did you raise your capital? Or did you just start and then earn your capital to reinvest in your business?
She's asking about how they raise their capital for their business.
That is a great question. I tell people frequently I would do this work for free because I love it so much, and I've been alongside some very generous friends and family who have reassured me that I should not do this for free and then paid me for my services, so very, very grateful. Honestly, every single piece of income I've earned has gone right back into it at this point, and that's kind of just the process, but hopefully that will change. But it's really been a slow-going capital experience.
So what I did was I stepped back a couple feet and I squatted down and I went running as fast as I could to the cliff, and I was just like, how much money can I spend on the way down? And having a retail store, I had to hit the ground, like literally running. I had to have a ton of capital. And guess what? If you don't know this, now I'm gonna tell you the little secret. You are gonna go, if you need capital, you can go to a bank and pitch to them. And I see Christy Dower standing back there. She's one of the first people I consulted with. You can pitch to the bank. You can pick your bank. You can pick your banker. Don't settle for the one person that sees your idea and it's like, that's great, let's do, you pick your banker. You're gonna interview with a ton of them. I had one, and I'm very open about my past too. I actually filed bankruptcy 7 years ago. I was a terrible candidate. And I looked at my banker straight in the eye and I said, I need over $200,000. And he's like, well, you're not gonna get that. I didn't get that, but what I did get is a great SBA loan. I got a banker who absolutely believes in what I'm doing and bleeds with me almost with what I'm doing. He sees the ebbs and flows and he sees where we're going and the plan. So that's where I got my capital, was the SBA. And pitching to a banker. And they said, is it the 5 C's or 4 C's? 5 C's? I didn't have 3.5 of those, but I had character and had a plan. And I pitched it so authentically, and he saw it and he believed it. So anyway, I don't know if you guys heard my pedestals like come to the party, because I love talking about getting your funding and pitching to banks. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Emma.
Okay, dreaming really big. What is your guys' vision for the work that you're doing? Whether it's a center or a Dash and White in every community in North Dakota, what are your hopes?
She's asking, what's their biggest vision if they could dream, the biggest dream they could dream?
My vision is that every birther has a doula. Every single one. Without limit for cost, without connection, that every single person who gives birth has a doula. That is my vision and my hope. I also have a long-term vision, I love that you asked this, to connect and network with our local care providers in town, whether it's Essentia in Sanford or other smaller clinics that provide prenatal or postnatal care, to do some education and workshopping together with professional staff, as well as to close the gap between evidence and practice in childbirth and pregnancy. That is my passion and my long-term vision, and I hope that that can become a reality in time. Big dreams, big dreams.
My long-term vision is to back down from 80 hours to maybe 65 to 69. Honestly, thank you for asking. I have a business plan first, because you can always go back to the business plan. My business plan, I feel like it's in stone and I love it. I want to be the next West Elm. I want to be where West Elm won't go because the zip codes possibly can't support it. That will be Dash and White. And then I know we haven't talked about Powerful Women, but Powerful Women is a non-political women's platform. So a platform where we can find our voice and just really connect with women on a real level. We never once talk about what our titles are. And for Powerful Woman, I do have a federal trademark pending. And my goal is to have not only just like an Upper Midwest conference where we can all meet each other, but also a national conference at some point.
Right here.
This question is for
Yeah, great question. So it's important to me, and I think a lot of doulas, we have a lot of doulas in Fargo-Moorhead, actually. I think that it's a very underground kind of small pockets of folks, but there's many more than I expected. So it's going to be different for every doula, but for me, I like to meet with a potential client or family just to make sure that we're a good fit. Like, what are they looking for? Am I going to be a good personality for you, and et cetera? If there's a weird riff or a weird vibe between people, you're not going to want me in your birthing space, right? So I don't take offense to that, but I have a whole list of other people to refer out as well. So initially, just a consultation and a chance to chat. If you book me as your doula, then it depends on the needs of the family, right? So if it's a high need pregnancy or someone's really struggling with it, I'm open to engaging more. Pretty much 24-hour, 7 days a week access via text or call. People use that in different ways. I like to just check in over time. Once folks are closer to that 30-week mark, I usually like to have at least 2 in-person meetings. The first to talk about what I sort of recommend or try to get a feel for their flow and their personality. The second to kind of solidify, what is your plan? Do you want me to, when will you call? Where will we meet? Just those logistical pieces. And then based on the needs of the family and mom, I will do some research. I will find other information. I will refer them to other local businesses if they need physical therapy support for round ligament pain or other issues. And then once birth begins, I will consult and see kind of where family's at. I'll meet them wherever they are, whether it's home or the hospital. And then if people want to labor early in their home, I will be there from the time labor begins all the way through up to, I think, 29 hours is what I have in my contract, which is about the maximum I can go before I'm a weird blob and I'm I don't know what's happening anymore. And so I'll be there through the birth and then the postpartum period and then the follow-up after. So it really just depends on when folks book me and then also what their need is. But at least 2 to 3 prenatal times and meetings. That's really important to me that we build trust and a good rapport. And then the duration of the labor and then at least 2 postpartum follow-ups.
Glenn.
Kelsey, you talked about your workplace being your family and your kids are running around, but I'm assuming you see your staff similarly, the people who work with you. What are a couple of intentional things you've done to build your culture to make it the place you want to be and you want people to be with you?
That's a great question. Culture is hands down the most important thing that I can curate within my business, especially if I want to be the next West Elm, because things get a little evaporated when you start growing. And even I grew from a 1,700 square foot place to a 3,700 square foot place, and that's why I sold my firstborn. I just take the extra seconds, just like how I treat all my guests coming in to my home. I treat my staff the same exact way. Their family is my family. I know we are going to endure such an intense holiday season, and it kicks off right after I leave here for the next 2 months. And I know that my staff is going to be working extra long hours, and I have a treat plan for them in January when we're dead, and so we can revive ourselves. But it's just checking in, being more personal, and taking the extra minute when you're rushing in and you have a huge to-do list and you got to meet with the client, you got freight coming in. Hey, how was your night last night? That's all it takes.
I'm going to ask another question. So you guys both work with clients. What is the biggest challenge that your clients encounter that you've seen while you work with them?
I think the biggest challenge that clients encounter is that you don't know what you don't know. And that's no one's fault. I think that there are incredible resources in our community. I know that Sanford and Essentia offer great birthing education experiences, but even with that content, there's still a little gap, and that's no one's fault. It's just time. It's audience. It's all of those things. And so being able to sort of bridge that a little bit or ask hey, have you heard about blah? And when I get this look, I'm no, okay, are you interested in hearing about that? Yes. And then it's continuing that conversation. So I think there's just that whole you don't know what you don't know, especially if you're a first-time mom or parent.
For me, kind of like a slight therapy session, because I have a lot of clients come in that have been, some, not a lot, have been kind of used and abused or forced down a design aesthetic path that they didn't love, and maybe they didn't know how to discover their own design. They're like, I don't know what to do with my house. And I'm like, oh my God, calm down, you're fine. So what do you like to do? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just sit here and talk. It's stripping down the prior sales techniques that have been used upon them and allowing them the safe space to make their own decisions. I want to give them all the decisions like on a platter. Here's a couple, timeless. This one's really Instagrammy, but like my fave. And just kind of go that route with them. I've even gone to my client's house and left my product there all week long so they could see it up on their massive mantle. And I was like, they were so nervous about spending and they couldn't make the decision. And I said, you know what? Just sit with it. Because if you wake up tomorrow morning and you're like, then it's coming back, right? And they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, no, that works so beautifully. I want you to love what you purchase and be obsessed with it even next year. So with that, I just like slow it down a little bit and I don't force anyone to buy. And if anyone is in between buying, I ask them the one question, and I'll repeat it a million times. If you walk out of my store, will you fist pump or will you have a weird gut feeling? Like, yes, I got this velvet sofa. Like, I want you to be jacked up. So.
Awesome. One last question to round us off today. We're all here to support you. What is one thing we can do to energize the work that you do leaving here today?
Ooh, that's a good one.
There's so much. I think one of the biggest things that folks in this room can do is, as you encounter people in your life who are starting families, who are even adopting or are pursuing a variety of ways to begin their families, help them understand that a doula can be an excellent resource, not just in birth, but even before, in connecting to additional resources. People using the word doula even once a year is going to be a better form of education and an opportunity than, me expecting traffic to come to my website and then read all about the explanation, right? So however you can sort of encourage people in their various stages of life to consider that investment in themselves and to feel supported during that time is a huge benefit. Yeah.
This is kind of a tough one. I feel like I've added no fruitfulness to this morning's meeting because I just want to talk about kindness and like slowing down with people and getting back to conversation and truly asking how people are. I always told myself I would use any platform that I ever created and use my voice to just ask everyone to just be kind. And as much as I need to sell product, to pay rent, to continue to get product in, at the end of the day, it's really connecting with humans. And I couldn't be more genuine in my ask to just take a couple extra seconds today and be present with yourself and be kind to the people next to you.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. That was awesome. Let's give them a big round of applause. That's all we have today for this week's StartupBREW Fargo. Thanks for listening in. StartupBREW Fargo is energized by Emerging Prairie, an organization dedicated to connecting and celebrating the founders' ecosystem. We'd also like to thank the following sponsors for their support: Pro Resources, Brady Mertz, FMCVB, Office Sign Company, Fargo Parks, FM Area Foundation, Midco, and Fargo Brewing Company. See you next time.